A US participation in the Israeli-Iranian war becomes more likely by the minute. Trump has issued a number of cryptic messages in the past 24 hours that point towards a participation in the war. He also aborted his participation in the G7 meeting to immediately fly back to Washington. He asked the inhabitants of Tehran to leave the city. He called the National Security Council in the Situation Room, which is usually a place where you witness military actions, not all the time, but if it's done, it's being done there. And according to media reports, this meeting has roughly started an hour ago. By posting on social media, he then started explaining that the Iran is not allowed to have the nuclear bomb, while his surroundings, among them J.D. Vance, were starting to explain why an Iranian bomb would be unacceptable. This seems to point that he and his government are preparing his voters for a US participation in this war. During that time, at the same time, additional equipment, additional reinforcements of the United States were being sent towards the Middle East, and thus to increase the US forces for a strike against Iran. But we'll talk about this as well as about anything else in this situation report about the Israeli-Iranian war. The Israelis have continued strikes. They've hit the IRGC Quds Force HQ. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Quds Force is the foreign department. They are responsible for terrorism outside of Iran, but also played a massive role in the operations in Iraq and in Syria. The Israelis also struck IRGC barracks in Sanyan, and they hit an ammunition bunker in Qom, among many other targets. They also hit the Parchin military complex close to Tehran, where missiles are being produced and where research for missiles and nuclear weapons is being done. The interesting thing is, the Iranian media is publishing additional losses by their own armed forces, and it's interesting that it seems that the focus is on the IRGC, that the Israelis seem to mostly focus the IRGC. That might be that might be wrong, but it's at least my impression. The Israelis also published a picture of one of their F-16s starting to participate in strikes. And the interesting thing here is we do see 2,000-pound GBU-31 JDAMs that are being carried here. Those are iron bombs. They are not they have a limited range. This indicates that the Israelis have now reached a point where fourth-gen fighter planes can fly over the targets, basically on top of the targets of the Iranians, without being able to be struck. And that blue thing here should be a training missile of the AIM-9 Sidewinder, which is very weird. There is one possible explanation that it could be for stability. But that would also point towards something that the Israelis don't even fear the Iranian Air Force anymore, that they are now convinced that it's basically wiped off the sky. That seems to be somewhat weird, but as said, this is how it currently looks. The Israelis also said that they by now destroyed 70 air defense systems. They also keep striking air defense systems, and we see here that should be a Hawk system, either a Hawk or an Iranian copy of it that is being struck here. And they keep striking ballistic missiles, TELs, transporter erector launchers. We can clearly see the missiles here, and those strikes are one of the reasons why the Iranian missile attacks are still happening and they still have success, but why the volume of those missile attacks is steadily going down. In total, as said, the Israelis already said yesterday that they managed to destroy 70% of all the Iranian TELs, and the strikes are also continuing towards the nuclear program. We have here additional videos that show us explosions in Fordo. It's unclear yet whether they struck the facility itself, which they can only do limited damage to the exterior as the majority is deep underground. It might just be strikes against the air defense systems around it to prepare for further engagements. The Israelis themselves, the ambassador said only the United States are capable to destroy Fordo. We talked about it in the past. It's basically the GBU-57. That's the only bomb that is considered to be capable of penetrating down towards these installations. The CNN is publishing a graph here based on International Atomic Energy Organization. Here they are saying it shows how much the Iranians have enriched uranium over the past years. Now, 5% is being used in reactors. There are some reactors that can use up to 20%, but everything up to that, over that, is enrichment that only makes sense for nuclear weapons. And we see how much it has grown over the past few years, how much the high enrichment has continued. It has to be understood that the initial enrichment is the most difficult ones. Once you reach 60%, you're basically 99% of the way to achieve nuclear weapons grade enriched uranium. And according to this, the calculations are within 2.5 days, the Iranians would have enriched enough to assemble one first nuclear bomb. And within 30 days, 11, all of this based on the International Atomic Energy Agency reporting. The Iranian Cyber Security Command has ordered all officials and their security personnel to stop using connected devices, so cell phones, tablets, and something like this. It's unclear whether this was before this or after this, but the Israelis have already killed the new chief of the general staff, who only held that post for 5 days. So he already has left that post not in a not planned way. It's almost looking like what the Israelis did to Hezbollah, where at a time the top leadership was exchanged once a week. The Iranians keep attacking the Israelis as well. Iran is saying they used 500 drones against Israel. So far, the majority of them, the vast majority, was intercepted before even reaching Israel. By now, a couple of them have crossed over into Israel and had to be intercepted inside of Israel. It's unclear, though, where those came from. There is some speculation that they might have been launched from Syria and thus not having flown the whole way. And that was the reason why they might have made it through. 2 drones were also intercepted while flying towards the US consulate in Erbil in Iraq. It's unclear where they came from. The speculation from my side would be Iraqi militia, that the Iranians tried to strike the consulate with only 2 drones doesn't make too much sense in this regard. The big announced attack against Israel that I mentioned in yesterday's SITREP, where the Iranians said, we're going to do an attack on Israel like the world has not seen before. This attack consisted out of 10 missiles. The reason for that is obvious, that the Israelis keep striking the TELs, so Iran has no opportunity to mass enough ballistic missiles to launch a big wave, but still they managed to get missiles through with even those significantly smaller launches. Iran, for instance, has hit the National Intelligence School in Herzliya, and it has hit the cyber unit of the Amman of the military intelligence. The strikes in Tel Aviv are also continuing, and we have a video here on the ground of the damage. And as you can see, these hits have done tremendous damage on the ground. According to interesting reports, we also have reports which could be one of the reasons why Trump is considering to join the war. There are media reports according to which a US base in Syria was attacked with Iranian ballistic missiles. So that Iran launched missiles from inside of Iran against a US base. When I checked it initially and Googled for it, I found a number of Middle Eastern media, but I did not find anything from the Western side. So I'm skeptical to which degree this is true. It's not fitting full my quality standards to confirm it. For instance, I have no idea how to judge this media, to which degree it's trustworthy or not. So it's possible that this is fake news. Again, Iran would have closer targets, but it's currently being spread around. And from a source criticism point, I am not convinced that this attack 100% happened, though. Still, though, the Israelis are keep striking the Iranian armed forces and the Iranian structure. And Netanyahu now said in an interview with Iranian opposition media that the attacks by Israel are the best chance for regime change. By now, the Crown Prince of Iran has also called for a general uprising to topple the regime. Generally, it's clear for Israel the best chance to get peace permanently is to topple the regime. This regime right now is focused. It's taking it as one of its basic goals to wipe Israel off the map. There is no expectation that peace will ever be possible, even if the Israelis manage to now destroy the missile program, even if they manage to destroy the nuclear program. This Iran under the Islamic Republic will just take a couple of years, a decade or two to rearm, and then it will continue while it keeps up its support for the terrorist organizations like Hamas, like Hezbollah, and like the Houthis. So in this regard, for Israel, it makes perfect sense to hope for a regime change, as this seems to be their best chance to get rid of this enemy and find a new entity in Iran that they might even be able to make peace with, or that might be less aggressive towards them. In the political sphere, Iran is still talking about negotiations without giving anything in, without saying anything yet to which degree they are willing to accept to reduce their own demands. And as I said in the past, this is illusionary. And in the current situation, I want to quote the US president: Iran doesn't have the cards, and they really don't. Right now, the air above Iran is dominated by Israeli fighter jets. The Israelis can bomb whatever they want, and while Iran still has air defense systems, so far they have not been capable of interfering in any serious way with the Israeli attacks. So why would there be any reason to give in negotiations? Then we have further informations about US involvement. The US have sent 5 additional tankers yesterday, and tankers that were in Europe were used to draw fighter jets, to draw combat jets towards the Middle East. These tankers were flying low enough to refuel fighter jets, and they were then circling back over Sicily, so giving those combat planes the range to probably land in, for instance, Jordan. This is a strong indication that additional jets have been sent towards the Middle East. Then Trump has stopped the participation in the G7 to return to Washington, where he called for a meeting of the National Security Staff to convene in the Situation Room. As said, the Situation Room is often used to witness military action. For instance, the killing of Osama bin Laden was witnessed in the Situation Room. That does not mean automatically that a military strike is happening right now. It might just be. We might find out in an hour or so that the US have started to intervene, but this is not a normal meeting place, and this is not a normal area, a normal event. The United Kingdom has also sent additional fighter jets to Cyprus to probably help with the defense and potentially participate in all of this. And Trump has used the last 24 hours for tirades on Truth Social to basically say again and again, as you can see here, America first means many great things, including the fact that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That was at 6:24 p.m. At 5:30, he said, Iran should have signed the deal. I told them to sign. What a shame and waste of human life. Simply stated, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. So an hour before he said that, he also told everyone to leave Tehran immediately. Then he said, shortly afterwards, somebody please explain to Cookie Tucker Carlson, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, as Tucker Carlson, who would generally be considered an ally of Trump, was saying the US should not get involved, and thus obviously in theory would allow Iran to gain a nuclear weapon. This comes together with a cryptic message from Lindsey Graham, the foreign policy hawk of the GOP in the Senate, who said, however, you have to be willing. You have to have willing partners to make peace. Iran played the same old game with the wrong guy. Another indication that negotiations are over here, and the claims, the demand of Trump to leave Tehran was apparently followed. There were reports since yesterday of huge numbers of Iranians leaving the capital. Right now, it's also interesting what he posted this morning. He wrote that we have total control in the skies over Iran. Obviously, he then says it's the US weapons and we know how important it is for him that the US armed forces have the best equipment, how much he loves to sell US weapons. But it's still interesting to say we, because it shows that in his head, the US is already a participant. Otherwise, he would have written our weapons, or Israel is with our weapons dominating the skies. We see a development from his side here, and it continues. We have here his warning that they know where Khamenei is hiding, but for now he's not being killed, but only for now. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for attention on this matter. Then he posted a couple of hours ago, unconditional surrender without anything else, and I'm pretty sure that doesn't need any additional explanation, and that's currently where the balance of power lies. This would demand, obviously, that Iran stops negotiation, gives in, and says, okay, we are beaten. What do we need to do to stop all of this? This is, we see additional developments here, and I left this in because Preston Stewart was the one to give me the first idea that this was happening. He mentioned, he posts here what the Rapid Response 47 was posting on Twitter. This is a channel by his staff, and they were pulling out video after video with date in the past when Trump said that a nuclear weapon would be unacceptable. And why would they do this now? Why would they keep posting and posting and posting that basically Trump said it all along? He might be and this is now my interpretation, he might be the president of peace. He might be the one who doesn't start wars, but he always said, still though, a nuke by the Iranians will be unacceptable. And thus, as they were going for it, he had to intervene. This is, in my mind, a clear indication, a clear preparation of the American public and especially of the MAGA crowd that Trump will start a war. And we see J.D. Vance, the US vice president, basically saying the same. A long article, fairly long at least for Twitter, where he explains a lot, and peace and so on is important, but it's always consistent that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. We see that from all sides now. Yesterday, I already said in the video, it looks like the US are going to get involved. We now have a lot of additional hints towards this. And in this case now from the political sphere as well. And you now see that the media is starting to do that, to write about this as well. Trump considers strike on Iran ahead of crucial Situation Room meeting. That was according to sources that Axios has. And we have now CNN. Trump increasingly warm to using US military to strike Iran, sources say. So while it's not decided yet, it seems to be increasingly likely that the US are going to get involved. We also see, for example, in Bahrain, that the US ships have left the harbor and thus are less easy to strike. That would be one example. And we had recently that the family members were sent away from US bases there. So while it's not decided yet, it seems to be increasingly likely, especially after the demand for an unconditional surrender. This could still be fulfilled. The Iranians can probably, if I'm right, then right now the Swiss ambassador would talk to somebody in the foreign ministry in Tehran, where the Swiss ambassador is representing the US, probably telling them, I was told by the US, you need to do an unconditional surrender and listen to what the rest will demand, or military action against you would start. That is at least my expectation. This could theoretically, Iran could theoretically avoid strikes, but we have to see what that would mean. The demand will clearly be that all enrichment would stop. Everything has to be scrapped in this regard. The weapon program has to be scrapped completely. All the enriched uranium has to be handed over. And at the point we are right now, with Israel dominating the skies over Iran, it would surely include the missile program as well. So a destruction of the Iranian missile program, I don't see how Israel would not use the current situation of superiority to press that through. Other than that, unlike if Iran does not follow up with a capitulation, a US participation in the war seems to be ever more likely. Still, it's not decided yet, but everything points towards this, that within a near time frame, a short time frame, the US might start strikes against Iran. That was it from me for today's SITREP. If you like this report, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment if you have something to add. And if you're new here, I would like to invite you to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. This channel is only possible because of viewers like you. If you like to support the channel, you can do so by the means in the description. But that's it from me for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back. Ukraine has developed the Sky Sentinel AI weapons platform. This system is used to shoot down attack drones like the Shahid drones and like Geron 2. In optimal conditions, it can even shoot down cruise missiles. United 24, the aid platform, is now looking to finance 10 of these weapon platforms for 1.5 million. If you have some money to spare and want to help save Ukrainian lives, then please donate with the link in the description or scan the QR code.